How do we prevent them? The issue of integrity is very important. Don't forget, shortly after, apart from those Capital Oil being one of those 25 companies, identified, indicted by the Presidential Committee on Verification led by Agboje Imokwede, we also saw the CBN coming out with another report, barring 113 companies from obtaining loans in Nigeria. Capital Oil is one of them. Number two, you also have, this is where the directors are now involved, another 419 directors and shareholders also banned by CBN from obtaining loans from banks in Nigeria. That is where Capital Oil's boss comes in, Ifeanyi Ubah, his name also on that list. So how did we, because if you look at the debt behold by Capital Oil, is 48 billion. AMCON also played a role, which ordinarily they wouldn't have done to any other person. AMCON negotiated, not only with Capital Oil, 113 companies, they are owing billions. And then they negotiated with them and agreed that, okay, you pay reduced price and then we'll let you go. That reduced price, they refused to pay it. That was what forced CBN to now ban them. So ordinarily, that wouldn't have happened to anybody. We don't have a process where the bank directors that approve loans for companies, without securing collateral, should also be held accountable. It's not only people like Ifeanyi, but those who collaborate with them should also be held accountable. That is, those bank directors. How did you approve billions of naira without obtaining collateral security? What about the depositors' money?
But Capital Oil is now screaming that they're being victimized.
Well, they've said that, won't they? Look, the truth of the matter is, did Capital Oil obtain loan or not? If they did, have they paid back? No. Did they obtain license to bring in PMS? Yes. Did they bring in all the PMS, and did they have evidence to prove that they did? These are the key issues which the SFU will now be forced to look into. If they bring everything in and they receive payment and all that, then there's no problem. But the fact of the matter is, they cannot even deny the AMCON one, because its Capital Oil is only one out of 113 companies that were owing the banks several hundreds of billions, and in Capital Oil's case, 48 billion. And that 48 billion is not even the actual debt owed. That was the negotiated money to be paid back. The money has not been paid back, and that is why the CBN is right to actually ban Capital from obtaining loan, and also ban the directors, including Ubah, from obtaining loans.
Final word in closing: what should the government be doing in a situation like this? Our reputation, it's at stake here.
The government should step up the game, should raise the bar, and they must ensure that the due diligence that they ought to establish as a threshold so some of these transactions are maintained. For instance, a recent one that has scandalized all of us is also the termination of the concession given by company regarding the Benin Orange. This is 5 years after we have lost souls on the country. This is about 5 clear years after huge amounts have also been disbursed in that direction. And Section 16(6) of the Public Procurement Act required that the government must satisfy the capacity of these contracting companies to deal with the magnitude of the business that they are going to. All of these have not been done with the kind of thing we are witnessing.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. So the long and short of this matter is that integrity and your reputation both are very important when you're doing business. Otherwise, sooner or later, you do stand to lose almost everything. Thank you very much. We've been talking to Mr. Malaki Ugumadu, who's a legal practitioner, as well as Mr. Biodun Shewumi, who's a social commentator. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Sunrise will return in just a moment, and as usual, with another very interesting topic. Please don't go anywhere.